Today on the channel, we're going to talk about Van Halen and how to improve your speed picking techniques. Yeah, man, speed picking, Eddie Van Halen, two things combined that are a beautiful recipe and ingredients for rock and roll. Welcome back to the channel, and today we are going to talk about Van Halen and speed picking and a technique that works for me. I'm going to try to give you some tips and tricks on how to learn how to speed pick, or maybe improve your speed picking, or hopefully maybe give you some concepts or some ideas that maybe you hadn't thought about that will enhance your abilities that you already have. And if you've got any tips or tricks, put them in the comments, because I'm always wanting to learn, and I learn from you guys as well. So speed picking is something that Eddie Van Halen, I think, pioneered. Everybody that has played guitar has tremolo picked or sped picked at some point, but I don't think anybody ever really did it to the nature or the extent that Eddie Van Halen did. And it's a great trick. It sounds awesome, and it's all over Van Halen stuff, especially live material, like Live Without a Net. Now, obviously, everybody watching this channel has probably seen Live Without a Net 10,000 times, as well as myself, but probably one of the best live recorded concerts ever from Van Halen. I love it. It's so good, and Eddie's eruption solo in that employs a lot of speed picking, and that's what really drove me to try to learn how to do this way back in the 80s. So I bought this this pick, and I recommend anybody that's never bought a stylus pick. Thomann sells stylus picks for like $8. You can get or $7.95. You can get a set of 3, according to what I found on the internet. The original stylus pick, there's one on eBay right now for $100, which is insane. Anybody would ever consider buying a pick for $100 that's just a plastic stylus pick. But the stylus pick had a diamond-shaped point that taught you how to play with just the very tip of the pick, and it prevents you from the way the angle of the point of the stylus pick is. If you get over the perimeter of the triangle on the bottom of the pick, the diamond-shaped piece, it catches the string and you can't play with it. So you have to play with the very, very edge of that stylus pick, and it's rounded, so it's really nice. It's a very, very thick pick. So it took me forever to get used to it, but it taught me to hold my pick with just the very, very edge, the very end of the pick sticking out. You don't want a lot of your guitar pick coming off out of the bottom of your fingers here. You want to be picking with just the edge of the pick. Now, there's 3 ways that I do it. So I drew a little diagram, or I put a pick on a piece of paper with a line indicating the string. So figure 1 shows straight on about how much of the pick that I use when I tremolo pick or speed pick, okay? And then figure 2 is probably the most common way that I do it. Over the years, I've wound up angling my pick diagonally a little bit, and I kind of twist the pick just a little bit, so instead of the pick hitting the string exactly dead on, it's sort of at an angle. But that's figure 2 is really the most common way that I do it. I find that my picks wear out sort of on the edge and on the tip of the pick. Now figure 3 is also something that I'll do as well if I'm really trying to go super fast but not have a lot of attack noise. So whatever works for you. Those 3 figures are the most common for me. And then one thing that people don't talk about is your arm and your wrist and the way that your hand works. And I'll talk about that here in more detail. So essentially tremolo picking, the way that I do it is not like Eddie. Eddie held his pick between his middle finger and his thumb, and that left his index finger open for tapping. So he could pick. If you see Eddie when he does it, he rotates his wrist like this, which is really strange, but that's something he started doing at an early age and developed that technique. If you have not developed a technique for speed picking, you may want to try. If you want to be like Ed, you could try learning it this way, but I'm too far gone in my career and life as a musician to change my technique. So the way that I do it is I hold the pick like between my index finger and my thumb, and at the angle that I show in the diagrams there that I just put on the screen. So I'm going to use diagram 2. I use it at a slight bit of an angle. So with my wrist and my forearm, I actually move my whole arm. I'm not moving, anything really past my elbow. I was always taught you want to use your wrist, like you can do it like that also. A lot of times I wind up going where the whole arm moves. Either way is fine. I would recommend trying to just use your wrist. Like that. So if you notice, this hand is going like this. And then you can go. The problem with going like this with your arm is you'll start getting tension built up in your muscles, and you can feel a lot of strain in your arm muscles and in your wrist, and that's bad. But usually you don't do this technique for very long, so it's not going to hurt you or anything, but it's a little fatiguing on the wrist. But I find myself doing it both ways, but the preferred way really is like this with just your wrist, okay? Now if you notice, I take my pinky and I rest it on my guitar like this, and that gives me an anchor. What I mean by that is it allows me to keep the proper distance between the pick and the string. I'm not holding my hand off the guitar like this. Like it would be impossible. I could never tremolo pick if I was just free-forming it off the guitar. If I was free-balling it and just up in the air, never be able to do it. So I have to anchor, and a lot of times I'll I put my pinky on my humbucker on the bridge pickup like this, or just right near it, and it's like the edge of my pinky. So the first thing you want to start doing is an obviously alternate picking. So I'm going to turn down the volume a little bit here. You want to get a decent speed going, but you want to start slowly. Now also I'll find that I'm putting 2 fingers on the pick also, like my middle finger and my index finger. Sometimes I'll do that, but most of the time it's just the index finger and the thumb. Now I'm angled like figure 2 in this, between figure 2 and figure 3 that I showed on the screen. And the pick, instead of hitting the say this is the string, the pick is kind of at an angle like this, and it's also angled like that. So you need a really nice smooth pick. If you've got like jagged edges or something, it will not work and you'll break a string eventually. So getting that control down is important. I'm just using the very, very edge of the pick. Eddie does this a lot in, you know, like Spanish Fly. He'll go. All right, so he's just doing open string. Now, if you take a scale, for instance, if you take a do re mi fa sol la ti do scale, like on one string, for instance, let's start on the A string. And then you can tremolo pick up this scale. And go down. Now you can get really quiet. You can get aggressive. Now that's what Eddie does in like Hot for Teacher, for example. Hot for Teacher ends with a G chord. And he goes up a G scale, but he skips a couple notes. He'll do... All right, so once again... Another thing that Eddie will do is he'll take a pentatonic scale. If he's like in a pentatonic box. Now, Eddie being a Clapton guy, he played a lot of pentatonic licks, but he put these twists on these pentatonic licks that made it sound like Ed, even though they were kind of Clapton and Page licks. But if you take the top string, say we're in A minor. All right, and you bring in an octave up here. Now these top two notes. Now if you add this second, this is the 1, the 2, and you go like this. But now you tremolo pick it like this. Okay, so that's a good trick that Eddie did. You can do it anywhere. Now you can add other notes. You can do... If you want to sound like Ed, those 3 notes in the minor scale. Now you can also take the pentatonic scale and tremolo pick each note like... Stuff like that, okay? Now in Eruption, in this, if you're in this E minor position, all right, you can go like... All right, so what Eddie does in Eruption, he tremolo picks here. That shape. Now if you tremolo pick that, that's what you get, okay? And then he does this descending thing where he goes... Something similar to that. If you do this pull-off, it sounds very Mick Mars, like girls, 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 but... If you tremolo pick that... You can do all these pull-offs. It's really simple when you get the hang of it. Probably the hardest thing about tremolo and speed picking is not really getting the speed down. It's not locking up and getting too stiff. You know, not getting your muscles to cramp up, and using the very edge of the pick so you can. It takes very little effort. And that gives you the room to, you know, hit like an open G string or an A or an E. I hope this is all making sense and you're enjoying the lesson so far, because that's just about it, really. I mean, I'll recap a little bit, but it's the angle of the pick hitting the string. It's hitting the string kind of at a diagonal position with your pick and not getting too tense. And I would say, you know, just work on 3 notes at a time, like this. Once you get the technique down, you can move it all over the place and do all kinds of fun stuff. I mean, everybody from Eddie, Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, Neil Schon, I mean, all the greats, man. A lot of these classic and metal guys, you know, do this technique. And when you employ it with different techniques, you know, when you've got your tapping and you've got your harmonics and your whammy bar dives, these are all parts of the toolkit. I see a lot of lessons where guys talk about 50 different techniques, but I thought we'd just zero in on this one technique. But as an example, I mean, I'll improv just a little bit. Hopefully this won't go too bad, but I mean, you can, when you put all the pieces together and add this into the mix, this is kind of what you'll get, you know. Something like that, okay? A la Eddie Van Halen, Marty 5150 style. Anyways, I hope this lesson was helpful. Hope that you enjoyed it. If you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing, comment below, and as always, have a great day. Peace out.